Hello everyone and welcome back to sports. My name is Caleb Reed and let's get right into it. First off, Trinity Track and Field absolutely dominated the SCAC Track Championships last weekend with both the men's and women's team winning the overall team championships. This is just the second consecutive year that Trinity has swept both of the team championships, repeating the same feat from last year in 2021. Over the next few weeks, the runners will travel around the nation as they compete in the qualifier meets for the NCAA Division III Championship in late May. Meanwhile, baseball enters their final series of the season after winning 2 of their last 3 against Texas Lutheran. They won 14-3 and 8-6 before losing their final home game 6-5 here at Trinity. They make the drive up to Austin both today and tomorrow, which will be their final regular season series of the year. Despite a rough ending to the season, softball has advanced to the NCAA tournament as the number 3 seed, where they are currently facing Centenary. This is a rematch game of conference opponents, with Trinity ahead after sweeping the 3-game series back in the first week of March. Meanwhile, the Dallas Mavericks pulled off a dramatic Game 6 win on the road in the NBA playoffs last night, defeating the Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City 98-96 to win the series 4-2. The Mavs found themselves down big at halftime but rallied in the third quarter with 36 points compared to Utah's 19. Dallas was led by all-star Luka Doncic and the underrated Jalen Brunson, who each had 24 points of their own en route to the win. Their next series starts on May 2nd, where they will face the Phoenix Suns. The Texas Rangers managed to steal Game 1 of their 4-game series against the Houston Astros, but dropped the final 3, losing in 2 close games at the end of the first round of the Silver Boot Series. Texas won their first game 6-2, but then fell 5-1 to Houston before the final 2 games turned into tight contest. Houston eked out 2 one-run wins, winning 4-3 and 3-2. Houston moves up to a 10-9 record in 3rd in the AL West, while Texas drops to 6-13 in 5th place in the division. The Rangers will face the Atlanta Braves this weekend, who will see the return of superstar Ronald Acuna Jr. after a torn ACL last season, while the Astros will face off against the Blue Jays. Meanwhile, the NFL Draft got underway yesterday with a few major highlights. First off, the Jacksonville Jaguars picked first for the 2nd straight year, selecting Georgia edge rusher Trayvon Walker. Defense was the name of the game in this draft, with all of the top 5 picks being defensive players, with the Carolina Panthers being the first team to select an offensive lineman. The Houston Texans had 2 first-round picks, selecting LSU cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. 4th overall and Texas A&M guard Kenyon Green 15th overall. In a surprising turn of events, no quarterback was taken within the first 5, 10, or even 15 picks of the draft. Despite employing Sam Darnold and Drew Lock, the Panthers and Seahawks respectively chose to fill holes in their offensive line. This means that following the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger, the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to get an absolute steal, selecting hometown boy Kenny Pickett with the 20th overall pick. Despite questions of his talent at the NFL level, many scouts labeled Pickett as the most NFL-ready quarterback in this draft, making many, including myself, optimistic for the team's success. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers continued their annual tradition of basically infuriating Aaron Rodgers by selecting linebacker Quay Walker and defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt in the first round, while the Cowboys continued their tradition of absolutely nailing picks. Jerry Jones finally got some help on the offensive line for Dak Prescott, who will now have Tulsa tackle Tyler Smith as a key blocking piece. Meanwhile, in racing, there's no Formula One this weekend, but we do get to see the return of IndyCar. Joseph Newgarden has won 2 straight as the field heads to Barber Motorsport Park in Birmingham, Alabama. The 2.4-mile circuit first hosted a race in 2010 and has seen fantastic races in its past with sweeping corners, beautiful elevation changes that basically make for an incredibly challenging experience. The grid comes off of a 3-week break where teams got ready for the month of May. The Indy 500 is already around the corner, with open testing at Indianapolis already underway. Though though the month of May hasn't traditionally started, 24 drivers, including defending champion Alex Palou and defending Indy 500 champion Helio Castroneves, took the 2.5-mile circuit in anticipation of the 106th running of the Memorial Day tradition. Indy is unlike anything else in racing, with 33 of the best drivers in the world traveling at an average lap speed of over 220 miles an hour, with top speeds in qualifying nearing 240. For more news and sports, both local and national, then make sure to like and subscribe.